Hello and welcome to Sports News Africa, the home of Africa's sporting conversation. Here is a look at what's coming up on the programme today. Egypt make final preparations before the start of the modern Pentathlon World Cup. And Arsenal win, but it's Monaco that progresses to the quarter-finals of the European Champions League. There are still 3 more games to go in the ICC World Cup quarter-finals in Australia and New Zealand. India play Bangladesh in Melbourne on Thursday, followed by Australia versus Pakistan in Adelaide on Friday. Both games have a 3:30 GMT start time. And the last quarter-final game will be between New Zealand and the West Indies in Wellington at 1 o'clock GMT. The winner of that game will face South Africa in the last tour. To talk about this scintillating victory, we are joined by cricket correspondent Zahir Adams, who watched the action in Sydney. Zahir, a pretty one-sided game ends with a crushing victory for South Africa. How surprised were you by this result?
I think we weren't too surprised by the result. I think it's more the margin of victory, in terms of the margin of victory, as I say. I think the fact that it was the shortest World Cup knockout game in history, I think that was more the surprise. The fact that South Africa steamrolled Sri Lanka in the fashion that they did, I think that was the greatest surprise. A really big performance by South Africa and really laying down a marker for the rest of the tournament.
JP Dumini and Imran Tahir were the star turns for South Africa, while out of form Quinton de Kock returned to form. Is there a feeling that some parts of the Proteas team are beginning to click?
I think we spoke to JP Dumini after the game, and he basically said it was a 10 out of 10 performance, and it's hard to argue with him in that regard. Everything clicked for South Africa today. The bowling right from the start with Dale Steyn really setting the tone. I think he's been a bit quiet during this World Cup, and he's come up and really put his hand up today. Likewise, Kyle Abbott, a fresh energy into the team with a new ball, started really well. And Imran Tahir and JP Dumini basically continued the good work from the fast men up front. And Imran Tahir is a really special bowler in terms of what he does in these big games for South Africa. Another fourfer at the SCG to follow his fiver a couple of weeks ago. So that's another big tick box. I think JP Dumini's performance though with the ball, that is really something South Africa can take forward in terms of the fact that he provides the balance as the all-rounder, coming in at number 6 and 7 and being able to bowl his full quota of overs. That is what South Africa has been searching for throughout this World Cup, and he really ticked the box today.
Much was made about the South Africans' choker tag before this match. Have they dispelled those fears with this victory?
The choker tag, that's quite a funny thing around the team. It's something that they know is going to come up. They know that they have to hear about it all the time. AB de Villiers came out yesterday, and in the same manner, the way he dispatches the ball through the covers, he came out and said, "We won't choke," and everybody was quite surprised that he was brave enough and bold enough to actually go out there and say it. And the fact that they have now won this match and followed up what the captain has wanted from his team, I think that will fill the team with confidence. They do know though that the World Cup's not over. It's one game, and unfortunately, all those elements of mental pressure and how they deal with it will come up again next week ahead of the semi-final. So it's something that they will that it follows them until they actually win the World Cup and come home with the World Cup. That is unfortunately the inevitability for this team because of what has happened before. So as it's a great moment for South African cricket in terms of winning their first World Cup knockout match, but unfortunately it comes back next week again and it starts all over. It does follow them until Melbourne for the final.
Zahir, thank you for speaking to Sports News Africa. Welcome back to Sports News Africa. The Egyptian capital, Cairo, is putting the finishing touches ahead of hosting the modern Pentathlon World Cup 2, which gets underway on Thursday. The city has been in a race against time to get all the facilities ready before the start of the competition.
Egypt's Minister for Youth and Sports, Khaled Abdel Aziz, on Tuesday unveiled a new hall, which will be used during the second modern Pentathlon World Cup. The modern pentathlon, which is an Olympic event, includes fencing, 200 meters freestyle swimming, short jumping, and a combined event of pistol shooting and 3,200-meter cross-country run. Egypt faced an uphill struggle to be ready for the event.
We should do our best when we are working on organizing any competition. Many of the world's countries praise the way we organize such tournaments. The first challenge in the sector of the youth and sport is to host the World Cup of the modern pentathlon right after the economic conference.
The Secretary General of the International Modern Pentathlon, Shini Fang, acknowledged the importance of the competition, which will act as a qualifier for the 2016 Olympic Games.
This competition for athletes is very important because they are getting the points to be qualified for 2016 Rio Olympic Games. So we believe a lot of potential athletes, they can have very good result and they are on the way to be ready for Rio 2016.
The Cairo event will be particularly crucial for participants from the region who want to qualify for Rio.
From here, we can highlight the importance that our players should be prepared and trained to be able to collect points and qualify for the finals of the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro.
The competition, which runs from March 19th to March 23rd, will see current World Cup champion Jimmy Cook seek to retain his title. The first World Cup of the modern pentathlon, held in Saratoga in the USA in February this year, saw 210 participants from 22 countries compete in front of a crowd of 17,000.
Time now for a look at some of the other stories in brief. CAF has informed Nigeria's Dolphins to remain in Tunis, fueling speculation the Continental Football Governing Body could yet order a replay of the Confederation Cup tie against Africain of Tunisia. Africain were initially handed a walkover against the Nigerians, who arrived late for the fixture. They accused their hosts of delay tactics to prevent the team from getting to the match. Bolivia has pulled out of a March 26 friendly in Nigeria, citing security concerns. In a strongly worded letter, Nigeria Football Federation President Amadou Pinnick has reported Bolivia to FIFA over a breach of contract after it cancelled the friendly against the Super Eagles at the Akwa Ibom International Stadium in Uyo. Paris Saint-Germain and Ivory Coast defender Serge Aurier has issued an apology following his referee rant after the French Club Champions League clash with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last week. After Dutch referee Bjorn Kuipers sent off Zlatan Ibrahimovic, a furious Aurier took to social media to post an expletive-laden video about the referee. And former Senegal coach Alain Giresse has been appointed Mali coach for a second time. The former French midfielder succeeds Henri Casperzac, who left his post last week. A new-look Kenyan basketball team that includes 6 debutants will play an invitational tournament in Johannesburg. The team hopes to use the 5-day tournament to improve their game and build a team that is capable of challenging the powerhouses of African basketball.
Kenya's men's basketball team are expected to jet out of the country today to honor an invitation to participate in the Four Nations basketball tournament in South Africa. The team is looking to use the South African trip to improve their standards as they begin the hard journey towards joining Africa basketball powerhouses like Angola, Senegal, and Mozambique. The team is confident of a good outing in South Africa and hope to be crowned the champions.
For most guys who are in the team right now, we've been playing together ever since we came into the league, because we all started at around 7 years ago. We all started in the league around 7 years ago. We started together. We've been playing all types of league, colleges, church leagues together. So we know each other. We know how we play. So it's just the pride of the nation that we are carrying, but we are ready for it.
Despite the team's previous poor performance, most players are optimistic of a massive comeback this year.
I think basketball generally in Zone 5, we're lagging behind. We used to be the powers some years back, at the times of Akinanya Simi and those other guys. We're lagging behind, but I think that good things to come. Our main aim is to take Kenya back to position 1, where it used to be. In Zone 5 first, then you can focus on for the other teams outside. So the teams we're going to play in the tournament are better teams in terms of ranking. Most of them are top 10. We only have South Africa who are position 14. So if we can compete against them, then in our zone, we can beat anybody.
However, national coach Kiarie Odhiambo is more realistic and admits that Kenya still has a long way to go to reach international levels in the sport.
Definitely we are underdogs, because as you look at our history, you've never qualified for Africa Club for a long time. So we are starting afresh. That's why we're going to this as a test for our team, to see how far we can go.
Paul Otula, chairman Kenya Basketball Federation, could not agree less. He said the focus is to make massive improvements in the sport.
Actually, we target that within the next 5 years, we might top Africa as a continent. And that's why we deliberately went for a young team who can stick together, train together, and gel together. And with the time, I think they are going to be very good.
The 16-man team will take on Nigeria, Mozambique, and host South Africa.
You're watching Sports News Africa. The Women's World Cup Trophy World Tour continued with a stopover in Cameroon ahead of the 2015 FIFA tournament in Canada later this year. Nigeria, Cameroon and the Ivory Coast are the African representatives. The Cameroonians hope this will not be the last time the trophy lands in Yaoundé.
Leave Your Goal Tour, organized by Federation of International Football Association FIFA, made a stopover in the Cameroonian capital Yaoundé on Tuesday to show off the Women World Cup trophy and to honor the country's great women footballers. Cameroon's national women football team is among 3 best African teams and have qualified for this year's World Cup tournament to be held in Canada from the 6th of June. The Female World Cup trophy has been making rounds across the continent to countries which qualified for this year's tournament. It is the first time for Cameroon to host the trophy, and enthusiastic football fans trooped in to take a glimpse.
I just saw the trophy, a replica of the World Cup trophy which will be awarded in Canada. What I can say is that our ladies team can show quite a good picture in Canada, since they are vice champions of Africa. They performed very well in the African Cup tournament recently. Thus, I think that this team can deliver a very good image of Cameroon.
The special envoy of FIFA will be leaving Cameroon for Nigeria, who also qualified for the Women's World Cup.
So here's how the 2 Champions League games finished on Tuesday. Atletico Madrid's match against Bayer Leverkusen went right down to the wire at the Vicente Calderon Stadium after the tie ended 1-1 on aggregate. Atletico Madrid won 3-2 on penalties. And here's a quick look at Wednesday's fixtures. Barcelona hosts Manchester City at the Camp Nou, while German side Borussia Dortmund are at home to Italian giants Juventus. Both games kick off at 19:45 GMT. And that's the end of Sports News Africa for today. Join us again tomorrow when we will bring you all the latest from Africa and around the world. Bye for now.